Hi, and welcome back to part 2. Now in part 1, we developed our first panel, which is the front panel on this object, and we're now going to develop the two side panels to finish off our half pattern. Now you can see already with all of the circles and a few of the true length lines on screen, it gets very busy very quick. And to do the next lot of developments, it would be really good if we cleaned out everything that we've got on screen right now. But the last thing we want to do is to delete it, because any work that we do on screen, it would be nice to be able to bring it back on. Now, the way that we do that to make them invisible or just turn them off but without deleting them is to use layers. Now, up here in the center of the screen on the top bar, you've got the layer control panel. And if I down click this right hand caret here, you'll notice that the only layer we have currently is layer 0. Well, we're going to change that. We're going to put a layer on. Now, to do that, we go over to the layer properties area there, and we will manage the layers. Now, just do a double click on that, and what you'll come up with, you can see that this is the layer properties manager, and we have a single layer, which is layer 0 right now. If you go up to the left hand one of these stacks of paper, and I'll hover over it for a second, you can see it's creating a new layer. So that's exactly what we want to do. Remember, we only had layer 0. If I click it, we end up with a layer 1. Now you'll also notice there's a load of icons there, and you can actually print per layer. You could lock the layer. You could even make the visibility different on the layer. You could also say that anything drawn on that layer will be a particular color or a particular line type. So it's quite a useful thing to be able to use. As it is, I'm not going to play with the naming of it. I'm just going to leave it at layer 1, but we could say dev 1 for the first lot of developments, dev 2 for the second lot of developments, etc. And you can create layers that way and use them accordingly. Okay, but now we've got layer 1, we've created it. I'm just going to turn this box off. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm literally just going to go across and check all of the ones that I want to disappear. So I could just draw my little box across there, maybe even just go across here, down to there, take all of those. Got one more circle to go. And of course these two true length lines, which I want to make invisible, and then right click on the screen. Second from the bottom, you'll see the word properties. Left click it. Now you can see here there's a layer option. You can see that the color varies, which it does, but I'm just gonna left click in the layer option area, and you'll see now there is a downward caret. And I can change it by clicking on layer 1, so that all of those items now have gone on layer 1. So now I'm just going to turn off that properties box and go back up to this layer menu. Now if I click that, we can now see layer 1 is there and layer 0 is there. I want to keep layer 0 on, but I can come over to this light bulb, and as you can see by the label, if I click it, it turns everything off. If I click it back on, it turns everything back on. So we can make it invisible, but not delete it. So we don't delete the work we've already done, especially if we have to go back and correct something. Okay, so I'm just going to click on screen, and that get rid of that layer box. So we're still working on layer 0, as you can see up there, but now we need to concentrate on this side panel. Now, looking from the top, you can see that there is a flat side at the top going up to the cut line, and a flat side on the bottom going up to the cut line. If you can imagine the actual shape of this and the way that we done that first side we can develop straight on there, but then we'd need to go from the other end of this known line, and remember that line is visible down here on the right hand side of this pattern. Okay, so if we want to go from there to there, the other point will be the bottom edge, this bottom corner here, to develop up to it. But like I said, if you're looking at this line there, it is flat to our view. So I'm just going to draw a circle, left click on the circle, come down to that lower corner there and click, and then pull it out until it hits our midpoint, or effectively our cut line, and click. Okay, now like I said, that can be developed straight across. So I'm just going to copy that circle from its center to where I'm doing the measurement from, which is right there. Okay, now this one is on a slope coming up to give me the second point on it. This one is on a slope, so I'm going to go across, and I'm going to maybe choose a yellow color, just a different one, and I'm going to take a circle from there to the point of intersection. So circle from that corner, and now I'm going to come up to that point of intersection. Now I can't just move this one across. It is on a sloping edge, so therefore I have to develop it. So I'm going to copy this circle from its center point down to our development, right? So that's our true length development. And then I'm going to grab myself a polyline, come from the true height, because it is still the true height, there is only one height on this object, down to that point of intersection. Last but not least, I'm going to grab a circle, come from that and stretch it down the true length line to there, and that is our developed circle. That means that if I now want to copy that circle from there, I can go do the point I measured it on this lower corner to there, and we now have a point of intersection. So I'm going to right click and enter to get rid of that circle. I'm going to just change my yellow color because I've already done that development. Now back to by layer. I'm going to click on polyline and go from that corner to that point of intersection, and that's the first one done. Okay, so that is the top edge. That is the top edge that we've just measured to. Now we've got a similar situation on the bottom where the base is dead flat. We can see that it's a true length. We're on white, so we're just going to do a circle coming from here to that point, midpoint, intersection. It's the same, the intersection between those two. So the next thing to do is to copy that white circle from its midpoint, or center point, sorry, to the end of that line. That's where we measured it from, that's where we drop it to. And the next thing I'm going to do is obviously change my color. I don't want it white because it's a developed line. I'm going to grab green, and now we're looking at, from this top point, whereabouts on this circle we need to develop to. So we're going to go from this top point to that point there, okay, to literally cross-reference or intersect where those two circles, the white one and the green one, is going to go. So I'm just going to grab my circle command. I'm going to come from that top corner and move it out to that point of intersection. Because it's sloping, again, I'm going to copy that green circle from its center point onto our true length graph and enter. Now I can draw my true length line. It's always going to be from that top to that point there. That's where the circle touches the base. And now the last thing we want to do is to develop our circle from that top edge down the length of the true length line. At that point, we can move it on. Now we're taking these dimensions from this top edge. So I'm going to copy. It's going to be our large green circle on the top there, from the center point, and we're taking it from that point there, and click. Now that is technically our development done. I'm going to change it back to by layer, but you can see that point there between green and white, and that is our second point. And really from that point onwards, from down there to that point of intersection there and up to that edge, right click and enter, we're done. Now I know what you're thinking when you're looking at this screen, and if you've got the balance on your computer monitor or whatever, it looks like that is too far open. It looks like that is not a 90-degree corner. But that will be the proof in the pudding, wouldn't it? Right? The proof of the pudding is that a 90-degree corner? Because developed, it should be a 90-degree corner. So I'm going to go up to the annotation part and look at that top tab, hit the downward arrow, and look at an angular measurement. I'm going to zoom in a little bit, and I'm going to click that edge, and I'm going to click that edge. Is it 90 degrees? If it is 90 degrees, and you can always play with your precision to make it 90 point something if you want to make it dead on. If it's 90 degrees, your development is good. Okay? Right. Now, the last thing we're going to do, apart from we could make another layer and get rid of all these developments because we have another edge there, and I'll even put this little degree measurement on there too. So I'm going to go to Layer Manager, just come across to Create, and create. I've got a layer 2 on there, then turn it off. Grab all of our circles and things. So there's 2 of the circles. There's another circle, and that one, and our dimension maybe. Then all of the developments down here, and those ones, and last but not least, that one, oh, there, right there. So once we're done, I'm going to do a right click, go down to Properties, click that layer option, hit the right caret, layer 2, and we can close it. Now we just go up to layer 2, we click it because it's all there with the rest of them, and we turn it off. Oh, I missed one. But you could always do that one separately. Okay. The very last thing you need to do, and I'll just do that whilst I'm talking. The very last thing you need to do is to mirror that object. So I'm just going to go through and put that last circle on Dev 2. It comes up with a warning. Yeah, we know. It's just a warning to say you'll put it onto a invisible layer, basically. We're going to mirror this end onto that side to complete the pattern because it is symmetrical. We can do that. So we're just going to do mirror, and I'm going to grab this line, that line, and right click, and I'm going to grab the midpoint from there to there, and then hit enter, and that is our developed part. I hope you've enjoyed this one, and I'll see you in the next exercise.